What is going on, guys? I am back today to do something a little bit different, but I saw this going around on TikTok. I thought it was a really interesting idea. I notice a lot of times in the film community and on film talk and on YouTube that a lot of times creators will come out and say, "I haven't seen this movie." And they'll get absolutely destroyed. Like, how have you never watched this movie? How have you never seen this film? And people give creatives a really hard time for not seeing every movie. And it's really funny to me because, in my lifetime, I've seen thousands of movies. I think on Letterboxd, from what I've logged, and I don't even think I've logged every movie I've ever watched. I'm almost at 3,000 films. I've watched a lot of movies in my life. I can't watch everything. It's just not feasible. There's only so much time in the day. And there are movies that are considered classics that I have not seen. And I don't think that makes you any less of a film lover if you haven't seen the critically acclaimed classics or the movies that everyone thinks you should watch, because there's probably a movie you've seen that has impacted you in a way that makes it just as important as those movies. And I thought it would be fun today go on one of my favorite apps, Letterboxd, and look at the most popular movies and talk about some of the movies on the most popular list that I haven't seen, and just talk about it. And maybe you guys can let me know in the comments some really popular movies that you've never seen, or if there's one of these on the list that I mentioned you think I need to push to the front of my list, let me know. But let's jump into this. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. So first up on the most popular list here is the Luca Guadagnino film Call Me By Your Name. I know a lot of people love this movie. I do not know why I didn't watch it when it initially was released. I am a huge fan of Luca Guadagnino. Obviously, I have praised Suspiria 2018 a multitude of times on my YouTube channel. I love that movie a lot. I also love Bones and All. I think Luca Guadagnino is an incredibly talented and amazing director, and I have heard nothing but incredible things about this movie. This seems to be one of the films that really kind of sent Timothée Chalamet's career on an upward trajectory. And it's a movie that I've wanted to watch for quite some time, and I'm going to get around to it soon because I love Luca, and he has a new movie coming out this year, and I really want to watch as much of his catalog as I can. Up next, and this might shock some people, I have never seen Goodwill Hunting from Gus Van Sant. I actually talked about My Own Private Idaho and then The Sea of Trees last year. For my A24 archive, I watched The Sea of Trees. It was my very first ever Gus Van Sant movie. And I watched My Own Private Idaho for the Criterion Collection. I have not been a huge fan of either of Gus Van Sant's films that I've watched. I thought My Own Private Idaho was a really interesting concept, but I felt like the movie was really jumbled and the narrative structure was kind of a mess. For a movie that I'd heard that was super emotionally impactful and poignant, it didn't really leave much of an impression on me. Sea of Trees was really bad, but I know it's later in his career and not a lot of people liked it. But I've heard nothing but amazing things about Goodwill Hunting in the past. It's one of those movies that I really want to see, and I hopefully will get around to it at some point. Up next is a recent film, Mad Max Fury Road. This is a movie that I hear from virtually everyone is incredible, like one of the best dystopian action sci-fi movies ever made. And for some reason I didn't watch it when it came out, and I've never got around to watching it now. But Furiosa is coming out later this year, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, who is one of my favorite actresses. So I am 100% going to be seeing that in the theater. So I will be making time to watch Fury Road prior to going to see that movie, so I can know a little bit more about what I'm getting into and understand kind of the premise behind it. I've seen the original Mad Max films with Mel Gibson from way back when. I really enjoyed those when I was a kid. Like I said, I don't really know why I've never gotten around to watching this movie. I just haven't. Up next, and this one might shock some people, I have never seen Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. I've seen almost all of Tarantino's catalog, but for some reason this movie has just slipped away from me. I don't know why. I've never gotten around to watching it, or I've never taken the time to sit down and watch it. Tarantino is a director that I respect his catalog. There are movies in his catalog I don't really like. I've talked about Pulp Fiction before. I've seen Pulp Fiction 3 or 4 times, and it's never really resonated with me. I'm not a huge fan of the narrative structure. There's elements in the movie that just kind of don't work for me, but I love Django Unchained. I love Inglourious Bastards. I am someone who actually genuinely loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Tarantino has a really incredible catalog. And for some reason, I've never sat down and watched his first film, and I've heard nothing but good things about Reservoir Dogs. I know people love it. I know it's short and simple, but it's emotionally impactful, and I hope to sit down and watch it sometime soon. Up next is a more recent film, but that is the Keanu Reeves starring film John Wick. I know it's an entire series now. I never watched the initial film when it came out in theaters, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about it and the 3 sequels that came after it. I know people genuinely love the series, and they constantly talk about how it's one of the best action series of films ever released, and I know people constantly compliment Keanu Reeves' performance. This is a movie I'm really looking forward to watching. I kind of want to sit down and knock them all out at once. But yeah, I've just never gotten around to seeing it. Another classic film I've never seen, The Godfather Part II. I actually did a video last year where I watched the first Godfather for the first time ever in my life. I absolutely loved it. I thought the performances were amazing. I thought it was really well shot. It was an engaging and immersive story, but I have not watched the second movie. I'm really looking forward to watching it. It's one of those things where when I'm making content for YouTube, I'm always trying to watch new release films or films for the A24 archive or things of that nature. And it's a 3-hour movie, and it's one of those things we're trying to set aside the time to watch a 3-hour film amidst all the other movies I'm trying to review and get out there for you guys. Sometimes it's more difficult, and it is one I'm really looking forward to because of how much I loved the first Godfather, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it whenever I get around to watching it. Up next is an absolute classic, and I'm sure people will give me a hard time for this one. I have never seen 12 Angry Men. I have seen videos of it when I was in film school. I've seen certain segments from the film, but I have never watched 12 Angry Men. I know this is considered one of the greatest films of all time. People constantly praise it and just talk about how amazing it is. So at some point I will get around to watching it. I just haven't yet. I will do one more, and this is another classic that people constantly praise. I have never seen Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now. I have seen videos of it in film school. I have seen clips from it, moments that people say are like the most emotionally powerful moments of the film, but I've never taken the time to sit down and watch it. I know it is considered an absolute classic. I know people absolutely love it. It's just one of those movies I've never gotten around to seeing, and I'm looking forward to watching it whenever I get the chance. So what are some movies that are critically acclaimed that you have never seen? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to hear all the movies that you have not watched. I think it's always really interesting because you guys always have such great opinions on film, and you always have really great insight about movies, and I'm always interested to see what those pinnacle films are that people haven't watched. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.